He's done the perfect job of freshmen, whether it's Taman Lipsy or Monchilovich, and then mix in transfers, because you can't just come back every year with juniors and transfer, because it just there's no chemistry.
I just want to say this: start the women's tournament. Audi Crooks.
Wow.
Highly impressed.
And they see Iowa pop up, and they write down who they're playing, who's on the other side of the bracket, because that show is quite similar to even how it is now.
You guys both have South Carolina, Texas, and Iowa. Really went on a limb there with 3 number 1 seeds. But
I was in Iowa City yesterday. I did see my daughter. I was there for work, and we had lunch. And there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of distractions for that, tickets and parking, and there's a lot of things that, as a young person, 22 years old, you got to deal with.
Welcome to How to Money with Kole and Kole.
I'm Kole.
And I'm Kole.
We coach people every day on their money and how to plan for the future.
As financial advisors, we're here to have an honest conversation on investing, retirement, and everything in between.
At Full Swing Financial Planning, we're here to empower you to take control of your plan, your way, for your financial future.
So let's talk money.
And sports.
Welcome back to How to Money with Kole and Kole. Quick disclosure, if you want to listen to us talk about money and finances and how to help you, this is not the episode. This is
not today,
straight
folks.
March Madness chat. So just a disclosure for everyone listening. And of course, if we're going to talk about March Madness, we have to bring someone on the show with some March Madness experience. Wade, welcome back.
A little bit. Thanks for having me.
Second time on the show.
Repeat guest.
And you have some March Madness experience.
Just a little bit. Yeah, I played in the NCAA tournament a couple times, and a long time ago, but it's changed a lot, but it still is really similar to 30 years ago when I played.
Probably the most unforgettable experience you've probably ever had, maybe?
Yeah, sports-wise, it was really cool. You know, at the time, you're kind of just trying to get ready for the game, and everything's happening so fast. And it's really an amazing event. Is everybody who watches that show that Sunday night, the announcements, teams, players, coaches, nobody knows where they're going. You know, everything leaks out nowadays, and just, you know, you find out who won the election or who's going to be, you know, the number 1 seed. But with NCAA basketball, nobody knows. So coaches are watching that show, players.
That's awesome.
The adrenaline's running.
The travel agents who handle the travel for the teams are scrambling. But it's a really cool event.
Did they have the ESPN selection show?
Yeah. So when I was playing, and again, 30 some odd years ago,
back in my day,
yeah,
right?
we would go to Tom Davis's house. He was the head coach. Again, long time ago, no Big Ten tournaments. So we were all done with the regular season.
That's right. Yeah.
And every year we played in the tournament. 3 out of 4 years when I was playing, we made the tournament. 1 year we were not very good, but we always knew we were going to get in, so there was never that, you know, anticipation. Are you going to make it or not? So we're there looking at, you know, who we're going to play and what the seed's going to be, and everything's kind of scrolling through the TV. Again, you know, remember now, this is
no social media,
no
Twitter,
no
Twitter,
internet.
no. So our coaches and our travel people are watching the telecast, and they see Iowa pop up, and they write down who they're playing, who's on the other side of the bracket, because that show is quite similar to even how it is now. Is they say now in the East Regional, the 1 seed is Kentucky, and I remember 1 year we were the 4 seed, and so they're writing that down, and they talk for 90 seconds, and then they switch to somebody else. So now that screen's gone. And there's no DVR. You can't take a picture of the screen. So
I'm dying to even think about this.
Kind of scrambling to find out who you're playing, when you're going to play. And then I can remember our travel people were on the phone immediately and everything's kind of lined up hotel-wise. And they have like a chartered plane on standby, but they still got to let them know if you're playing Thursday or Friday, when you're going to leave, all that stuff, and then where to practice. And it just was a crazy time. And as a player, you just kind of sit back and think, we're going to play whoever, Middle Tennessee State in the first round, and you don't know anything about them. You've never seen them play or anything. But
it's not like scouting now where there's a bunch of film, you clip it on the internet.
But again, things have changed, but it's still very similar.
I remember having to like feverishly write down the brackets, and then you waited until it came out in the paper the next day, and you made a copy of it.
Cut the bracket out of the paper.
I did. I remember my dad getting mad at me because there was an article on the back of the bracket that he wanted to read. But that's But
as far as the teams getting announced and the seeds, it's still very similar.
I love it though.
Yeah.
Nostalgic, right? The classic, old school. Still, it's got that old school vibe, and very camaraderie, like the teams. And I always love seeing like the underdog teams, underdog stories, and they always got a good someone like the guy that hit 10 threes. Yeah, hit 10 threes, like a really cool story.
He's like, I'm not an NBA player, but I can play with them one night a week.
Yeah, what was the joke? Something like like the other guys are talking, he's going to be an accountant or something. Yeah. It's like, oh, that's awesome.
So we did a little bracketology for the How to Money podcast. How many entries did we have?
38 men, 28 women.
Caleb's talking in the background. 38 men, 28 women. And who's winning the men's right now?
Gosh.
Who's up? I can't see.
Another competition that Bailey's going to win.
No, I don't think she's going to win.
I need Houston to really win. I know.
I don't know about Houston, but yeah.
Hey, this is the beauty about March Madness.
Anybody.
Yes, and like anyone can beat anyone on a given night, and there's so many factors that have to go into it. You have to play well. You just need the ball to roll your way. Like there's and as you probably know, there's just so much into one game. Like anyone can beat anyone on any given night.
I think with this next week now, you'll see the teams that have better coaches play better because now, with that Thursday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday, it's a quick turnaround. And I know coaches will say, hey, we're just focusing on this one team, but they do have a scout for that next round game. But now you've got at least 4, maybe 5 days to see who your next opponent's going to be. So you look at the teams that have maybe better coaches, and they can break down sideline out of bounds plays or baseline out of bounds plays and get one extra basket per game. That could really help Houston beat somebody in the Sweet 16.
What's it look like especially the first and second round games? What's that look like as a player? Like the turnaround, like how, just talk about your experience as a player and like how you felt. Like, were you tired?
So we were, let's see, I think we were a 4 seed twice and maybe a 7 seed once. So we played teams that we thought we were going to beat, so, and we did. We always won our first game, and then we always lost our second round games. So it was kind of a tough, we didn't make it to that next round. But again, coaches, they will scout. What they do now a lot of times is it's almost like a football game. They have like an offensive scout or defensive scout. So you have 2 assistant coaches that are scouting that, again, if you're playing Friday, that are scouting the team for Sunday, thinking that you're going to win. And everybody does that if you're a 1 seed or a 11 seed, because you got to be ready. You got to be prepared.
Yeah,
for
the turnaround's really quick.
Yeah,
and you're at the same site as the other team, so you can watch. Did you guys watch the other team you might play?
We did. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Let me think. So one year we were a 7 seed. We beat Texas in the first round, and then we got Duke when they were on their roll. I think that was the year they won their first title. In my freshman year, we beat Rutgers, who was okay, and then we got NC State. They beat us in double overtime.
Oh, that's rough.
Oh,
and then my senior year, we played in Nashville, ran into Wake Forest and Rodney Rogers and a couple other guys, and so we were a 4 seed that year. So we like the one year we were 7, lost to Duke. They were 2. A couple years we were 4, lost to a 5. But it just was frustrating to not get to that next round because you think, man, if you get hot. And the way we played at Iowa with Tom Davis, it was kind of a unique style. And so it was a little different to prepare for. Not a lot of teams played that way. So we thought, man, if we can get this one, we can get a chance. And it was tough.
I got a question for you because I think you played against both of these teams in your time. You played against UNLV, correct, in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
And you played against Duke with Leitner and Hurley.
Yeah.
Which of those 2 teams do you think was better during that era? Because that's kind of a debate people have with that era.
So that Vegas team, and again, the year's kind of even for me, they were really good. Again, this is Stacey Augmon,
Larry
Johnson, Anderson Hunt, Greg Anthony. You know, they had dudes. And
Cole's giddy right now.
At the time, nobody left. Like, none of those guys would have came back. Even with Duke, Grant Hill played 3 years at Duke. He'd play 1 now. You know, Leitner played 4. Hurley played 4. Those guys wouldn't. They'd go. My sophomore year, we played Vegas, and it was bizarre. Just, again, at the time, it's, you know, fireworks going off in the gym. You know, now it's such a common thing, but it was a circus. It was an atmosphere. We stayed at the Mirage, right? It was the first year it opened, so it was a big deal, and it was cool. It was awesome. Yeah.
Who do you have winning it all, Wade?
So I went out on a limb this year and picked UConn, the defending champion. I'm sure no one has.
I was like, wait, who'd you pick?
That's my champ too.
I'm sure no one's picked. I just, when you watch them play, I mean, I think they've lost 2 or 3 games, and they lost at Creighton, and that's a tough place to play. I think if they play their best game, so when you look at teams to pick the bracket, you look at who's got pros, who's got NBA players on that team, and UConn's probably got 2, if not 3. You know, and now you have to look at, well, who's got 25-year-old seniors, because you still have the COVID year, the super seniors. You know, so those are the 2 things you look at. And when you watch UConn, I think if they play a good game or play their best game, they're going to beat everybody. But it's not this isn't the NBA playoffs. It's not a 7-game series. You just got to have one off night, or somebody gets in foul trouble or a sprained ankle, and then they're in trouble.
I know you think Illinois is probably going to beat Iowa State, but I think that's UConn's toughest until they get to the Final Four. I think North Carolina could beat them, but and that's how I have that going. But I
wait, who do you have winning it all?
I have North Carolina winning it all.
Okay.
And I think for a lot of the reasons that you said, like, I think they have 3 pros on their team, right? They have Baycott, Davis, Harrison Ingram. I think they got 3 pros on their team. Yeah. And I think obviously they're well coached too. So I think that they have a shot to beat UConn if UConn gets there, and North Carolina, of course. But I think that Iowa State matchup, I don't think UConn wants to see them, because they're gonna play a way different game than UConn does. They're gonna slow it down. They're gonna play defense.
Iowa State got a tough draw because they got Illinois, who's really talented, and they just won the Big Ten tournament, and they're on a roll, and they got dudes. And then when they win, or if they win, then they get the defending national champions before they even get to the Final Four. So
that is tough.
Sometimes you're almost better off to be a 7 seed, or I guess a 6 seed, so you get that 3rd seed in the second round. Like if you look at Clemson, Clemson's got really good players. That PJ Hall's a good player, the big guy. And they played, was it Baylor?
Yep.
Who's solid, but their best players are freshmen. I think you saw that with Kentucky. Kentucky's best players, and they got 6, maybe 7 pros on that team, but they're all young. They're all 19 years old.
It showed.
What do you?
And then
go ahead.
Was that Oakland? Was that the game?
Oakland's the one where the kid hit 10 threes.
Yeah.
He's a super senior.
Super senior and a nice player, and just got on a roll, and they couldn't get it done and couldn't stop. Couldn't handle that zone defense, and it's just a strange time of year. Auburn was playing as well as anybody, and they got beat right in the first round. So
it's the best time of the year.
What do you think of? You talked about the Cyclone matchup. What do you think of their turnaround? Altsberger's, the coaching staff, what they've done.
Forget his first year they won 2 games. Now, not 2 conference games.
2 games,
total games, and he's a really good coach, and he's done the perfect job of freshmen, whether it's Taman Lipsey or Monchilovich, and then mix in transfers, because you can't just come back every year with juniors and transfer, because there's no chemistry. And that's what you see with some of these teams. They're just, even with Kentucky, they're playing all these kids and McDonald's All-Americans and first-rounders, but they just don't have any cohesion. But TJ's a great coach, really good coach.
Cool to see. And they just play like, I don't know anything about basketball. It's physical defense. Like, I'm the last person that should be taught.
Shows by your brackets.
Hey, I'm not doing men's side. I'm doing men's side. I'm whooping you.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah. Where are you at? Let's go real quick before. Let's recap the men's. Who's our top 3 up there? Cole, you can see it. On leading our men's How to Money podcast.
We got Baileigh Ashbrook in first place.
We knew that.
510 points. Got 15 out of 16 in the Sweet 16, which I am impressed by that. That is hard to do. We have Josh Engel, who is in second with 500 points, and then third place is Josh's picks. Not sure who that is, but has 490 points. But of the people in our room here, Baileigh's in first, obviously, with 510. Cole Jaskey has 430. Caleb has 410, and Cole Peterson has 400. But I am me and Caleb both have North Carolina winning, so we'll catch up then.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have
Houston's
Iowa State going far.
yeah.
I've got UConn, so I think if UConn wins, I'm in good shape probably here.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. You'll win if UConn. Most of the time, you have to have the champion, right,
Yes.
to win any pool, except last year when UConn won because they were a 4 or 5 seed, and the Final Four was a 9, a 5, and 4 or 5 or something like
wild
that.
Year.
It was a wild year. You didn't necessarily have to have the
champion. It doesn't look like it's
going
to be that way this year. There were those upsets in the first round, but now it's pretty chalky, I think is.
Yeah, all 1 and 2 seeds remain. 2 3s, 2 4s. You know, we do have an 11, we have a 6, we have a 5 or 2 5s, but really, I don't see any of those getting out of this round. Do you, Wade? Do you see Clemson maybe beating Arizona is the one that I kind of look at? Maybe
again, probably not. You know, Arizona's got really good players, and it's funny with Clemson. Brad Brownell, the coach there. He really wanted the Iowa job. He really wanted we have a mutual friend.
Oh, really?
And I spoke to him on the phone. You know, it was like 14 years ago when the job was open. I think Brad was at Bowling Green, and we had some mutual friends. So he called me and we talked. And he's a Midwest guy from Indiana, and he really wanted the Iowa job. But it's funny how kind of things work out. But again, you know, the NC State coach, if they get beat the first round, maybe even the second round of the conference tournament, he's probably fired. Brad Brownell at Clemson, even 3 months ago, he was on the hot seat. Last year, they didn't remember. They were the team last year that probably should have gotten in but didn't get in. And so he's like, you know, they may go a different way or something. And now he'll probably get an extension. The NC State coach will get an extension.
Change fast, right?
It's really an amazing thing. But I do like Clemson. I like the way they play, but I think Arizona, they just got size and strength, and you know.
What do you guys see?
They're the better team.
What do you guys see as like an upset coming forward? I also think the Gonzaga Purdue game is going to be interesting.
I don't know. Purdue is hot.
Purdue is pretty good.
Take away Cole. He has to take my brackets.
But I think as far as the 1 seeds, they're the one that's most vulnerable. You know, when you look at Purdue, you know they got, and Zach Edey he's one of one. He is unique, but the rest of their team is sometimes not there. And I think it's sometimes like. I watch a lot of Purdue play just because they're in the Big Ten. I got a buddy who coaches there, and he even says, "Hey, we need everybody to play well because Zach's going to get 25 and 15, but then they have to have everybody else score and guard and rebound."
It's like Clark. She's going to get hers, but everyone else has to play.
Yeah, for sure.
If they don't score.
For sure.
Yeah. One thing I think that is true from probably when you played till now is the emotion of the tournament. Like you got seniors playing their last game ever, you got freshmen, but there's a lot that's changed too because now we have the NIL deals and all that. So what was it like?
Transfer portal.
Like it's an intense business right now. I just think about that. But what was it like? What was your experience that you have with the March Madness tournament, maybe compared to now?
I played 6 games in the NCAA tournament. Like I said, we always won our first round game and got beat in the second round. Every second round game was close, and it was really frustrating even today.
How'd you play?
I played pretty good. I played pretty
him on the
good.
spot.
My last game, we played in Nashville, played Wake Forest. My last game, I was the Chevrolet player of the game.
Ooh.
They still have that. So yeah.
Did you get a new Chevrolet for that?
I got a plaque.
No NIL.
Yeah, it's different
No
nowadays.
NIL deals.
I got a
then.
plaque, and the school got $1,000 in my name. So,
hey,
how about
there you
that?
go.
How about that? Yeah, but it just so it was a very unique thing to go through. You know, you play, and then the bids come out, and then Tuesday you fly out, and you fly to Nashville. We went to Nashville one year. Where else? We went to Providence, Rhode Island, which was lovely. And then the other year we were in, I can't remember now where it was. We were in Greensboro, North Carolina, because we had to play Duke in North Carolina. You know, but it's so unique, just the atmosphere, and it's this tournament and one and done. And I think it was different because, you can see it every day with the transfer portal on Twitter. I have an account that updates the transfer portal. As soon as teams get beat, the next morning I'm leaving.
Drake had 3 guys. Drake had 3 guys, right?
And how about coaches
Yeah.
too? You know,
Yeah,
the Utah
he's
State
gone.
coach goes here, and that's fine. But again, when I was playing, that just never happened. When a kid transferred, it was a big deal. So I guess what my point is that here you are in this tournament, and you're with these guys that you've bled and worked with over 4 years, and then it just ends. In fact, we got beat on a Sunday in Nashville, Tennessee. We lost it. I don't know. It was an afternoon game. Lost at 3:00. An hour later, you're on the plane heading home, and and then you land in Cedar Rapids, drive to Iowa City. I was home at like midnight that Sunday night after getting beat, ending my college basketball career in Nashville. So when it ends quick.
You don't get to hang out and watch the
turn
games.
in your uniform. They change the codes on the locker room door so you can't get in. I'm joking, but not really. I mean, it's like turn your stuff in. Thanks for the 4 years. And it just ends. It's not like when you're a sophomore and you get beat in a tournament.
Next year.
I got the summer. I got to keep working out. And, I wasn't going to make any money playing basketball, but it's just over. It's not like other things where you see, like even like when you're in high school in the state tournament, I guess kind of similar, but when it ends quick, and turn your stuff in, get on in your home.
And I think the hard part of that is you're never, like, in my opinion, you're never truly a part of a team like that. That camaraderie, that sweat, that dedication that you've put in over the years, and you've bonded that. And that's like probably more of the emotional part of it. You're like, oh, these people I've spent 4 years with, did everything with, went hard with, practiced hard with. We're done. We're all
I have some of my best friends are guys I played basketball with. But then you have, and not in a bad way, but you also have guys that were just your teammates. Like I have guys I've never spoken to since we got beat in Nashville on March 13th, 1993. Not in a bad way or a mean way. It's just like, we were teammates and we hung out
exact experience
for 4 years, and now we're good. I'm good, But
and
when it ends, it ends.
You knew that you weren't going to play professionally, or did you not know that at that time?
No, I was. I know. Yeah.
So you knew that, like, your basketball career, that
you
you
never
had
get
been
to put a
doing
jersey on again
since you were 8-10 years old was,
it's quite a transition.
I bet.
You can see how, and in my career was better than most, but not near as glamorous as a lot of people, But when it ends, I can see how those, talk about the NBA guys who have made all this money, and now all of a sudden it'd be a great problem to have. You're 34 years old and you're a multimillionaire, but what are you going to do Monday?
It's your whole identity.
It's just,
no purpose.
It's just over. It ends, and you can't play anymore. And so what do? Well, you buy a restaurant, or you do this and that, and a couple bad decisions, and all of a sudden you got no money. And not that is an excuse, but again, when it ends, whether you're in, your athletic career, when it ends, whether you're in kindergarten, junior high, high school, college, or the pros, it ends quick and you're done. Yeah.
We talked about this with you too, like when you did your little skit to get to the NFL. Like you said, you remember sitting at the airport drinking a beer with your buddies. Like, shoot, what's next?
We didn't make it. It's such an identity thing.
And you're like,
and you sit there and I have a lot. It's kind of crazy to think about all the basketball relationships you probably had, but they were only through basketball. Now you have a few. I'm the same as I have 3 or 4 buddies that from football still lifelong friends, but so many people interacted with it, just like that life ended and they were, they've gone their way. I've gone my way.
It still is the greatest tournament though. I mean, with the men's and the women's and social media, everything's so much more accessible now. It's a wonderful time of year.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital.
Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market.
Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarketwith2ks.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarketwith2ks.com.
That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026 or visit our website www.spinmarketwith2ks.com.
All right, before we switch to the women's tournament, Wade, give me your Final Four pick for the men.
In the Final Four, I have Duke and Arizona, and then in the actual finals, I have UConn beating Purdue, the battle of the big men in the finals.
So you did take
school.
Purdue all the way, even though
I
you
did.
thought they were
You know,
Big Ten lover.
Yeah. So remember when Virginia got beat as a 1 seed?
Yep.
And
Next
then they
year
won it
they
the next
won
year.
it. So I think there's a little bit of that, you know, but Purdue is, you know, Zach Edey is unstoppable. And if, you know, he can get 35 and 17 and they kind of slow it down, that they really guard. So I like the way they're playing, but again, you never know. But I think UConn's the best team. I think the year in, or the entire year, they've just gotten better and they're deep and they're well coached and they're still hungry. I think that's one thing I thought that maybe they wouldn't be as motivated after winning it last year, but they're playing well.
If you haven't watched a Purdue game, if any of our listeners haven't watched Zach Edey, I mean, it is kind of crazy, like watching him. I mean, he's just so big.
Yeah,
he's 7'4", 325 pounds, something like that. My eldest son Joseph is just intrigued by. I mean, he watches like every play
I saw
at Purdue.
him. So my good friend's an assistant at Purdue, and when they played Iowa, we went out there and at the hotel, and Zach was there, and I've been around tall people. You know, I mean, Les Jepson was 7'2", and AC Earl was 7 feet tall. You know, you don't see him every day, but when you see somebody like that, it's almost kind of bizarre that he's that big and can move like that and is skilled, but he is a large human being.
Yeah, it's shocking when you see him on the floor, and he's against a guy that's 6'10", and he makes him look small.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts. But so our Final Four, just so people out there know, I have Iowa State.
Oh.
I'm picking the upset with the UConn, North Carolina, Duke, and Creighton. So the only one we have common is Duke.
I was going to say, I don't have a lot of common either. I also took Iowa State, North Carolina, Houston, and Tennessee.
I like Tennessee.
Yeah.
So we got a big game, Creighton's versus Tennessee.
Yeah.
Creighton wins that game. I'm going to catch up with you.
All right, let's look at the women's.
Do I get my pick?
Oh, shoot.
I was switching screens here. Jeez.
For the people who don't know, Cole J's brackets aren't very good, so I was going to skip.
I think I'm
just
doing
kidding.
all right here.
I've got all four alive.
I've got UConn over UNC, and then this is the one where Marquette and Creighton on the other side. That's
watch. You'll probably go for right.
Heavy Big East.
A long shot there, but
yeah, you got three big East teams.
And then UConn, my champion.
Yep.
Champion. All right, now to the women's teams. First of all, I just want to say to start the women's tournament, Audi Crooks.
Wow.
Highly impressed. And not
she's for Dodge. I think we're claiming her.
Yeah, let's do
not
that.
only am I impressed with her play, her demeanor to be that calm and composed, and the way she battles inside with players, and you probably know this, it gets heated inside when it's chippy, and usually she does never reacts to anyone. Like she holds herself so well.
So her dad, Jimmy, her father, was a senior in high school when I was a freshman. So I played against Jimmy quite a bit growing up, and he was
Strong.
this big grizzly bear of a guy, but he always had that smile, just a really big smile. And you know, when you see Audie play, she's always smiling and happy. And you know, after her huge game, that first round, they interviewed her, and she talked about her dad and got really emotional, and she just seems like a really good kid.
Yeah, like the way she's carrying herself. And this is another thing which I think is so crazy, especially, and this is just because I follow the women's. Like if you think about Audi Crooks and Caitlin Clark, not only are they playing a tournament and they are running like commercials, jobs, like the interviews, the media. I'm like, this whole experience is probably so surreal, but also so exhausting. Like I think about the lead up to what they've been doing to the tournament. It's just incredible.
I think what you'll see, like whether it's Iowa or you look at Stanford, like that Cameron Brink, you know, she's out there. She's got the New Balance stuff and the commercials, and of course Caitlin. I think what you'll see is some of these teams, they'll be better at a neutral site, because I was in Iowa City yesterday. I did see my daughter. I was there for work, and we had lunch, and there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of distractions for that tickets and parking, and there's a lot of things that as a young person, 22 years old, you got to deal with. Who wants tickets? Who's sitting where? Blah, blah, blah. Somebody's sick. I can't make it.
Yeah.
Do you have another ticket? It's a mess. And oh, by the way, there's a basketball game going on. So I think whether it's Stanford or Iowa or even like LSU or South Carolina, those teams that are very well known, they'll be better in neutral sites.
Get them to Albany or get them to what's the other site? It's Albany and
Portland.
Yeah. Get them on one of the coasts and get them away from all the distractions.
It's hard.
I have we were talking about Clark and Audi Crooks that are impact, but the Des Moines Register had an article a couple weeks or a couple days ago, and it was the Clark effect of what her effect on Iowa's
Clarkonomics.
the gross domestic product of the state of Iowa, and it's estimated in this report $82 million economic impact growth for the state of Iowa for over the last 3 seasons of basketball. How crazy is that?
That's why I think every nickel she gets from NIL,
Unbelievable.
she earns every nickel of it. So,
but also a really good tournament. So Iowa State lost to Stanford in overtime. Iowa won last night. Chippy game. So you were at the game?
No, I just watched it.
Okay, okay.
No, our daughter's on the dance team at Iowa. She was there. She's going to travel with the team the rest of the way. But
go Caitlin.
Yes.
Lookingbill.
Yes.
Caitlin Lookingbill.
Go Iowa dance team.
For sure.
All right, Wade. So who do you got winning it all for the women?
On the women's side, I think it's South Carolina. I don't think there's really any question. If they play their best game, their best is better than anybody else's best.
I agree. And it's March, just like last year. Iowa defeated them when they were undefeated, and Iowa has that confidence that if they can play and shoot.
I think I was better this year. Well, than they were. I mean,
it depends if everyone's scoring. When everyone's scoring, the offensive flowing, they look way better.
Hannah Stokey's still a little sick or something, not quite right.
She looked
a little bit off last night, but she had 47 points in a game, in a Big Ten game earlier this year. She's a good player.
Which is cool, too, the super seniors. You can tell in Iowa and even the teams, the women's team, you can tell they've been playing together forever. But a really cool bit, Sid, who hit the and one last night, big and one, she was talking about, because, we were talking about this, you have to be playing the tournament and also be watching the portal to grab recruits to be in there. But she was talking about how she never went to the portal, and she easily could have and played somewhere else. But she was like talking about trusting the process and when her number was called and like building a bond with these kids. So sometimes that bond of playing together.
The Big Ten tournament, all tournament team, and when Molly Davis got hurt, she stepped right in, and she's a big piece. She's a really good player.
She does a lot of little things.
Sydney Falter,
yeah.
She's gonna be really good next year. She's not
just a junior.
Yeah, she's just a junior. She's gonna have to take a bigger role, and I think that will be the person that not steps into the Caitlin Clark role. Okay, so nobody's ever going to be to Caitlin Clark, but steps up and plays more and shoots more, and definitely has to do that. And obviously you saw that in your career. Like, guys leave, you don't necessarily bring in a freshman that replaces them. A lot of guys end up playing more as they move along, and then they have to
and the game has changed. I mean, if you look at the best young players now in the women's game, but Caitlin Clark, the Brink girl,
Juju.
Well, Angel Reese, but then it switches to the freshman, Notre Dame girl,
Hannah,
Juju Watkins. Who's the other freshman? I'm trying to think of. But anyway, it's just there's so many good. Audi Crooks is probably on that list or should be on that list. But I think college basketball on the men's and women's side's in a really good place.
I do too. I will say this, as a woman watching women's sports, I think this is the best the women's game has looked, and it's the most attention it's got, and the tournament is just getting so much hype.
Where's that attention come from? Who brought that?
Shaq. How about Shaq? Shaq called before the tournament, said, "I'm more interested in the women's tournament than the men's."
It'll be interesting to see if that continues, because you have this generational talent, and I know Juju Watkins, the young freshman from USC, is really good. But there's something about those teams that are on the West Coast, you just don't watch them very much.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that translates to the Midwest or the East Coast, where you got all the eyeballs on you.
I think that's a lot to do with what's reorganizing in football with like the Pac-12 and all those teams joining the Big Ten, right? So now they're going to get that, like Oregon's and going to get those coverage, but it's the same thing. Like, I don't know any of the teams on the West Coast.
Is that next year?
Yeah.
So USC will be in the
like
Big Ten
UCLA,
next year. So Juju Watkins will come to Iowa City.
Yeah.
That'll be cool.
Stanford's going to the ACC.
It's going to be crazy.
It's bizarre. But again, if that's that Big Ten network, they're trying to grow the eyeballs. They'll get LA, they'll get Seattle, and it just
be some late games.
It's the golden goose. You get more and more money.
But travel is a little bit easier these days, I think, for teams. Also, I mean that
football's really easy. Football's really pretty simple. You charter a plane, you fly out, 300 guys on Friday morning, you play the game in your home Saturday night. Basketball is a little different when you got that, because now it's going to be more like an NBA. And you almost have like a West Coast swing where they'll go to USC, UCLA, maybe even Oregon, and then come home, things like that. But again, what's the answer to every question, whether it's TV or radio or business? It's money.
Dollar bills, y'all.
There's a lot of money in that industry,
absolutely,
for sure.
And that's what it comes down to.
Straight cash, homie.
They'll find a way.
I will say this too, speaking of the money, and even Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, but I think about this, the pressure to have that and play well in the tournament, it's the internet. It's everyone's opinion in the world, but I laugh at all these people with these opinion of 22-year-old women making this money and playing to this level. I'm like, and criticizing them for being aggressive or whatever it may be, or a role model. I'm like, could you imagine being 22 years old, having that much money, doing that and playing at that level consistently and being like praised and criticized every night? And I just think that's incredible how all the women are carrying themselves with that much attention, famous people, NBA players coming. But
I think when I was 22 or 23, I had a job and I made $25,000 a year, and I made poor choices with money or did stupid things. Can you imagine if you had $2.5 million or $25 million at 23 years old? The mistakes you would make.
Because there's a lot of attention around the possible LSU rematch or in Iowa. Well, who would you take there, Wade?
Well, so LSU's got to get by UCLA, right?
Yes,
I know
which will be a good
I watched a little bit last night, but I don't know nothing about
freshmen.
them. Yep. I don't know. I think it's really easy to root against Kim Mulkey, so I hope UCLA wins that game, and then Iowa's got Colorado.
I agree, though.
It's hard.
I kind of hope Iowa doesn't play them because I think it's a bad matchup for them.
I feel like there's too much
They're a little West
drama
Virginia-like, strong, athletic bigs. UCLA's a more free-flowing type of team, it seems like, which is a better matchup.
And I feel like, obviously, the TV and the money want LSU and Iowa to face up because there would be a lot of money and a lot of drama. But there's like the rematch and the Angel. Yeah, there would be a lot of going on outside. A lot of emotion. Outside noise.
Should we recap the standings in the women's here?
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Cole. So overall, Luke Ashbrook, his husband, is in first place with 570 points, tied with someone that has named FC Fantasy Football Picks one, and then our one of our assistants at Full Swing, Emily Q, is tied with 570 points.
The Hawkeyes winning it all.
Yeah, she's got the Hawkeyes winning it all. Luke has South Carolina, and the other one has South Carolina. But as far as our standings, I hate to say it, but Baileigh's in first again, 480 points. Cole Peterson second with 450, tied with Caleb with 450, and Cole Jaskey in last with 350. That's what you get for picking South Carolina to win it all, Cole Jaskey.
It is a smart choice, but I just believe in believers, and I think I would truly believe.
You think Iowa's going to win the national championship?
I think they could. I would think that they have to play very well, and everything has to fall in the right pieces, but I just think people like Caitlin Clark reminds me of Patrick Mahomes. Like, there's some people that just have it in their veins to find wins.
That's a good comparison.
Like, they just find a way to win, and I think her being away from home will help. I think the emotion of playing the last games there and all that, and the attention, I think now she'll be able to focus a little more, and I think they have the bond to do it, if that makes sense.
And they're motivated. I think last year still left a bad taste in their mouth. Yeah.
I think that's a fan speaking in you a lot there.
It is, but it's true. Like, winners win.
Agreed.
All right, who did you have winning? The Hawkeyes?
So both me and Caleb have all Final Four teams alive. South Carolina, Iowa, Stanford, and UConn. Baileigh and Cole have both lost Ohio State in the UConn region, but you guys both have South Carolina, Texas, and Iowa. Really went on a limb there with 3 number 1 seeds, but I don't think I think women's once they get to this, then it gets less chalky.
Yeah, I think UConn's getting through as a 3.
I think UConn is going to go to the final game against Iowa, or go to the Final Four against Iowa. Yes.
The only problem with UConn is they only have like 6 or 7 girls that are playing that really play because of injuries. So
they are banged up. Yeah.
I mean, but Paige Beckers is playing fire right now. But
I had Ohio State going pretty deep. That was an error.
Yep. They got beat.
Too.
They got beat by Duke in the second round. That was really the only big upset, I would say. The other upset was 11 seeds beating a 6 seed, which isn't a huge upset. But Duke beat Ohio State in the second round, 7 beat 2.
I think the reason for that is the women, nobody leaves to go to the NBA to turn pro. Everybody stays. So you don't have one and dones, because and now Juju Watkins can make a heck of a lot more money.
Correct.
I think Caitlin Clark's going to make $78,000 next year playing in the WNBA.
As their salary.
It's a slotted salary. Now she's going to make exponentially more than that. But 4 years ago, that was a big pay increase from what people were making in the playing women's college basketball. But why would you leave now? Why would you leave to fly?
It's good for the game. Well, I mean, it's good to keep them in the game.
It's good for college basketball.
Keeping them in the game.
For sure.
The WNBA is expanding too. Now, I don't know if they're going to, expand payroll or they got more money to work with, but they're going to have to get these ladies to come play.
Yeah. So the overseas market's really dried up for the men and for the women.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So the way the women they go overseas, like they're just wrapping up their overseas careers, right? Their season. Then they'll come back and the WNBA starts June 1.
Yeah.
Basically when the NBA stops, then the WNBA starts. And the WNBA is terrific, but they are subsidized from the NBA. It is not a profitable organization whatsoever. So
I did not know that.
And I don't know if that will ever change, but Caitlin Clark, Angel
We'll
Reese, Juju Watkins, there's names that
they say Indiana tickets are flying off the shelves.
And why not? Why not? So I think that it's getting a lot better than it was. You're not flying coach double connect from LA to New York when you're playing for the Sparks versus the New York Liberty, but it's getting better.
But you got to think how quickly the women's game has evolved with the deals and all that. So,
2 years ago.
Yeah, that's why it's completely different. Like no one was at the games.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy. Like Angel Reese last year was a good player, but really she didn't have a lot of attention. Then they win, and now she was
at Maryland for a year or two. She transferred, so
twice.
it wasn't like she was, yeah.
So a lot going on. Also, real quick snippet. Do you know there's a hit piece coming out on Mulkey? Have you guys seen that?
I heard the story.
Yeah, and she put out this response, threatening to sue him if he comes out with it. Did you guys watch that?
I did see the
maybe a little
threat.
distraction.
It hasn't come out yet, though. I thought it was coming out yesterday, but
I know. Yeah. Maybe he got
it's interesting.
You guys see the article about Caitlin Clark on ESPN though? Mm-mm. If you have not seen
Which
it,
one?
I told you about this.
Well, there's like 500.
It's been sent to me a couple times. I haven't read it yet, though.
It's a long article, but it's really intriguing, and it talks a little bit about how things have changed. So after last year, they were down in Mexico or something like that, and Caitlin Clark chartered a yacht for the whole entire team.
Yeah.
She paid for it because she has some money to do that, which is so
awesome.
abnormal.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's awesome.
You didn't tell me that. I apologize.
That's okay. You should read it. I can't believe you haven't read it yet.
You know what? It just, she has money. It's like, whoop. But she did.
But there's more than that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a really well written article, and it's it's by an ESPN writer. I can't remember his name right now, but he's really well known, and it's very good. It's definitely worth the read.
Yeah, that's awesome.
One other quick thing on Clark. I just read an article. She was gonna go to Notre Dame, and I didn't know that. And she did the Notre Dame visit and all that. Now I think about visits nowadays, like how much they can offer you and deals and whatnot. But she didn't even tell her parents first. Like she basically committed and then said, "Oh, by the way, Mom and Dad, I am gonna go to Iowa," because they really wanted her to go to Notre Dame.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
So, all right, South Carolina.
Yes, and the women's side.
Who did you get?
I took South Carolina as well.
Boo.
Iowa, as a fan, as a believer.
Next time we tape, it'll be over.
Yep.
We'll know.
So last, I'm going to end this. Are the guys done doing competitions against Baileigh Ashbrook?
It's not over. We've got a lot of.
We're halfway through the tournament.
I'm not surrendering here.
I won't
Baseball
talk too
starts
soon.
tomorrow,
That's
or
Cole's
it's
life.
already kind of started. But yeah, there's it's kind of a slow time. Masters.
Oh,
There you go.
yeah, I love
what
the
you got.
Masters.
That's what you got to get. The first sign of spring.
Well, Wade, always a pleasure. Thank
Thanks,
you.
man.
It was fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks
you,
for
Wade.
telling us your experience. And again, this isn't a normal podcast. We do a little money and entrepreneurs and all the things, but today was just basketball. So
having fun.
Appreciate you guys listening to a little basketball talk. All right, Pat Summit. The harder you work, the harder it is to surrender. Go Hawks.
Go Cubs.
Yeah, I did that.
You've been listening to How to Money with Kole and Kole, the podcast of Full Swing Financial Planning. To learn more, visit their website at www.fullswingfinancial.com and follow them on Facebook and LinkedIn.
For now, I'm Kole.
I'm Baileigh.
And I'm Kole.
And we'll see you on the greens.
4. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA, SIPC.